Welcome to the SLUSH podcast, the only place on the internet where we cover toddler toys to movie reviews and all of the spoilers in between.
Welcome, everybody, back to another Jurassic Park. If you're only following for Jurassic Park, what the hell are you doing? Because Matt over here has a whole nother podcast. Well, I shouldn't say another podcast, but we've done Ghostbusters. You've done a not Connected, Contact, and you've done like some stuff with Cora on the old Toddler Talks.
Yeah.
So get in there, like and subscribe early, people.
You don't know what you're missing until you hear Sully talk about tentacle porn, you know?
Oh,
It's coming. It's coming.
Poor guy.
Yeah, this will be a funny podcast because I'm like, for the first time in a room beside Bennett while he's sleeping. So I don't know how this will go. It could be fine. He doesn't seem to be moving. I must not be very loud, but I'm in Cora's office. So
it's like you're hiding from the raptors in the kitchen.
Dude, this is like the raptor part of the book. And I love it. Well, actually, so is the next part, but this part's like the good stuff.
Well, I think, yeah, like this is obviously raptor heavy, but I think it's some of the more iconic parts of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even like the stuff that's like heavily, we'll get into later with like in the science lab stuff, but there's so many parts of this particular iteration that are just like iconic scenes or lead to iconic scenes in the movie. But before we get into all that, we got to touch base on a little bit of news. First of all,
right.
You know, it's just wild out there. Time-stamping us is the Colossal Biosciences, who we've talked about.
Yeah.
Just released that they have quote unquote de-extincted the first animal, and they cloned 3 dire wolves.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, of the animals to clone, like there's probably a lot of research into cloning dogs because people really like their dogs.
True. I remember hearing at one point it was like pretty soon you're going to be able to just keep some of your pet's hair and they'll just clone it because you'll miss it and they know people will pay whatever just to get their pet back. But even on Twitter, I saw like at first people were like, oh, whoa, like this is crazy. And then below it in the comments, some people, which is funny because this all relates into like Jurassic Park, were like, oh, I just read this article and it's not what you think. Like they like genetically manipulated it. So it's like not really a dire wolf. It's like a new animal. And I'm like, this is just like Jurassic Park. This is so funny.
Yeah, it's really interesting that it's reopening those debates and like things that we've talked a whole bunch about. So I don't know, this feels like particularly timely. You know what I mean?
I know, it's crazy.
It's interesting too, like to see that article that came out. What was it, CBC or whatever, had the article about the Toronto Zoo being like, "This is terrifying." Yeah. Of all people to step out is the Toronto Zoo.
They just had some thoughts on it. Everybody is relating this all to Jurassic Park now. It's so funny. I think that it's insane the timing of us doing this podcast and them de-extincting the first animal ever. It's wicked.
Do you think that if they had de-extincted, like, I don't know, some like drooling lizard or something like that, like, I don't know, some kind of crazy, weird looking critter that's not cute and cuddly, do you think it'd be as well preserved, like well reserved or well perceived is the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. I think everybody's just pretty up in arms about de-extincting anything because I think the majority of people are like, have the Ian Malcolm route where they're like, you know, God selected it for extinction and, you know, it's gone now. So I think people think it's weird that they're de-extincting anything at all. But although
I don't know, man. I think the average person is just like, oh, that's really cool. Look how cute they are.
I don't know. My dad was horrified. I was like, Dad, they de-extincted a wolf. And he's like, yeah, right. And I was like, no, it's like this wolf. And I showed him the video. And he was like, why would they do that? Why would they do that? I'm like, because it's cool. And he's like, but why? And I'm like, Because it's 2025. People are gonna do
Mhm.
this shit, and he just goes, "But why?" And I was like, "Man, you're really messing with me right now." I don't know, like,
Mhm.
why do you think, Cody? Why the dire wolf?
I think there's a lot of genetic material. Like I think, what is it, like the La Brea Tire Pits has like literally 404 direwolf skulls.
Really?
Yeah, like it's like, there's a huge genetic sample. I don't think those are I could be wrong with this. I don't think they're fossilized. I think they're like real skulls.
Wow. But why bring them back?
Well, I think like we know that Colossal Bioscience has been working on this for a long time. So I think it
Mhm.
was, there's lots of things to base it on. There's, lots of dogs that they can use like supplementary genetic material.
Mhm.
Then there's like lots of like potential gestation hosts. You know what I mean? I don't know. It feels like of all things, like and who knows? Maybe they're totally fucking with us, and it's just like it's just a weird husky. Like
Look
not
at
to
the
be cynical about things, but it could.
Yeah, I watched some of the footage of them. They're very like puffy, fluffy, wolf-faced. It's kind of funny. I don't know. Because I remember when we were reading about like the birds that they were going to de-extinct, they like went through a whole background of why they were going to de-extinct them to like even out that ecosystem.
Mhm.
But with the dire wolves, I mean, wouldn't they have gone extinct during? I mean, that would have been the last kind of small ice age, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, but like for perspective, like yeah, like they would have been contemporaries with like woolly mammoths and stuff like that.
Mm.
But there were like those like the last woolly mammoths existed in like a remote island in Alaska. They believe, as far as you can tell, the last mammoths existed on like Prince of Wales Island or something in Alaska,
Mm.
and they existed at the same time that people were building the pyramids.
Weird. Weird
So
to think about it.
it, it's such a weird thing. 'Cause it makes it feel like oh man, they were around yesterday, but really they just built the pyramids a really long fucking time ago.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna keep de-extincting whatever going forward because it's just like in the book, man. Like, I feel like the oath that, like, quote unquote oath that, like, scientists, you know, had, not like on paper, but like not to do anything too crazy bad. I mean, it doesn't even matter anymore because, everybody has the technology and the people to do it, so they're just gonna start making shit. I just want to be here for it. We need some dinosaurs already.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at like, oh, like scientists created the atomic bomb, like everything after that doesn't seem so bad.
Wait till we have Jurassic Park on our hands.
But it's interesting, like thinking about Jurassic Park Rebirth. Like, do you think that Colossal has like a space where there's like a dodo that's like half developed with like a really stubby wing, like well, stubbier wing? Like they gotta have other things coming down the pipe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I have no idea. It's like kind of weird to think about. It's weird to think about it in real life because even though we talked about it like in theory, now that it's on the news and you have like the public all giving their opinions on stuff that we were just kind of messing around with casually on a podcast,
Mhm.
it's very strange because I couldn't go to work and be like, "So what do you guys think about like de-extincting stuff?" They would have been like, "We're busy doing stuff with lights, like we really don't care." But now around like the coffee machine, they're like, "Did you hear about the de-extinct dire wolves? Like, what are your thoughts on cloning?" Like I used to joke about that stuff, but now people are like, "What are your thoughts on cloning things?" It's like, I don't know. To really think about it now, it's kind of weird. I don't know.
If anybody else is out there looking for more information specifically about like colossal biosciences, like if you go to your podcasting source of choice and look up Beth Shapiro. Beth Shapiro is like their head geneticist. I think that's what she is. But um she's very podcast friendly. So she's been like on the Meat Eater podcast. Like that's where I first got kind of interested in what they were in colossal biosciences specifically. But I'm pretty sure she's been on Joe Rogan and like probably a whole bunch of other
We'll
podcasts.
try to get her on the next episode.
we should be like, listen, We're doing a series on Jurassic Park. This is crazy timing. But
Or
would
like,
you come on and just give us like a little bit of a
do you use Discord by chance?
No, dude, nerds love Discord.
I know a lot more people use it than I ever thought. It's like a whole thing I didn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think it's cool, but I don't know. Who knows what people think in general? Everybody's all over the place lately, so I don't even know what true opinions are coming to the surface lately about anything.
The scary part for me isn't the creating the creatures. It's like when we start talking about other animals that have been recently extincted, and they talk about recreating their ecosystems and removing the things that have now filled their niches or made it hard for them to exist in the first place.
Mm.
And they start talking about genetic options or like genetic modification options to eliminate things. So like if it's either sterilizing, like they've talked about doing this with mosquitoes, where like they essentially introduce mosquitoes that genetically are unable to breed, or like things like that, and you could do that with other things to remove them off a landscape. I get worried that that's then gonna exceed the scope of what you wanted. You know, like if
Yeah.
you design like a rat, like you need to remove rats from the islands where the dodos live for the dodos to have a chance. You design some kind of genetic flaw that then wipes out those rats. Well, what happens if that flaw then expands outside of those islands? Do we just, doesn't sound like the worst thing ever, but like, do we just like make rats go extinct because we genetically like engineer this genetic flaw? And like what other, like what does that, like what effect does that have on the greater biome?
Dude, it's like in Jurassic World 3, where all the little grasshopper things get out of control, and it's like nothing to do with dinosaurs anymore. It's just the ecosystem's falling apart. But I mean, you're right though. From what I'm getting out of this, it's basically like once we intervene with nature, it's such a slippery slope for all the other species to come crashing down inadvertently. Even if it's like we're trying to do something good, we could really screw up the balance of a lot of ecosystems and environments. So,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean, I think
know.
Malcolm kind of hit on it. Like we've talked about, like Malcolm's talked a whole lot um, about like dinosaurs had their chance and
Mhm.
like they're gone. And now the ecosystem has filled those niches with things for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Like, is it really up to us to then go through and like try to change things back because we think that's better? Like, what is better? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that as like, oh, everything we've done is better and all the animals we wiped off the earth should be wiped off. That's not what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that like trying to make things better. It's like that episode of The Simpsons where they're talking about like, you know, Australia got like the cane beetle and then they introduced the cane toads and then they like, you know, it's just crazy.
Mhm. You're right. I mean, I don't know, man. I think that having everything on the planet together that hasn't ever been together naturally, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea. If it was like way in the future and we had like the space stations and we had the dinosaur space station and we can just make sure that it's not affecting the entire planet, that would be cool. But mixing
Yeah.
everything together, I don't know, man. It just seems like the whole planet at this point, like we've reached a tipping point where anything we're doing going forward is probably not going to be good for us living
Mhm.
here. So, I don't know. It's funny that we're
Yeah.
like bringing de-extinct animals back, but like we still don't know how to get like all the plastic out of the ocean. It's hilarious. Like we're all over the place, you know?
And it's funny, like the more I think about it, the more your dad's kind of right. Where, like, why dire wolves? Like, do like we already have regular wolves. Like they kind of, I think they kind of filled that biome niche. You know what I mean? Like, is it like where are we gonna release dire wolves? Who wants that?
Wouldn't it be insane if they were like, "Hey, we just made like the compies. Like they just like we have a dinosaur now." Could you imagine if in 2025 like they just came and were like, "So we made the smallest dinosaur, but like, hey, we got a dinosaur now." People would probably like think it was the end of days, which could
Yeah,
be
I don't know if that
interesting.
would be good for their stocks or bad for their stocks.
I don't know.
Beth Shapiro actually did try to isolate like dinosaur DNA from amber.
Crazy.
So look that up, folks. Beth Shapiro, she's your person.
I just want some dinosaurs. I'd love to see one. Yeah, I know you'd love to see one. We'll see what we can do.
I 3D printed this little guy.
Oh.
Ooh. It's like jiggly.
Dude, you gotta start 3D printing everything.
Dude, it's funny. Like I'm super tempted to 3D like 3D print a bunch of skulls, but like I don't. Like, I'm like also like don't want to put a bunch of skulls up around my apartment. I don't know. I think like 3D printing them is cool, but I don't know, like
it'd be cool to
like
print like a 1-to-1 dinosaur skeleton very slowly, so you had an entire life-size Velociraptor skeleton. Can you do that?
Yeah, dude. I know a bunch of people that have printed the droids from the prequels.
That would be awesome. Those would look wicked.
Like a full-size battle droid.
I would do that. I would have a bunch of them. I'd just say Roger, Roger and shit to them all the time.
It'd be funny if you had like a motion sensor set up, so as you walk by, they just went Roger, 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 Roger.
It'd be crazy to print like a super battle droid, one of the big ones with like the guns on their arms.
Yeah. I bet you the files exist for it. Like, because even like I have a big 3D printer. So like I could print like a whole, like I could print probably a whole like clone trooper helmet. But
that's cool.
Even people that don't have like a big printer, like they like are designed to print in pieces that go together.
You should print the little sound thingy from the Velociraptor's heads from Jurassic Park 3.
The resonance chamber. I have
Yes.
it. I like, yeah, I'm, you know what? I'm going to print it tonight.
You should. And you can like do the little noise once we get to the movie.
Dude, perfect opportunity. First time on Slush podcast. We need to figure out a way to like, for people to compete about it. Like,
What do you mean?
How do we do this? Like, if people like this podcast, this video on YouTube, then we'll raffle it off and I'll mail it to you.
We can do that. Like, that's totally doable. I'm actually gonna get some Slush stickers and stuff printed, so we can put like a little gift pack together.
Yeah.
So I feel like we'll just be sending it to you.
So yeah, I guess like and subscribe, and if you like this video, we'll take everybody's name from the thing from the video and raffle it off.
It's gonna be like me and you.
It's great. Listen, it's a start. It'll cost like $2 to make that resonance chamber, and yeah, like I said,
you'll get a sticker. Stick on your bike.
I'm chuffed to bits. Welcome to the Jurassic Park podcast.
Yeah, and we're back. We're so close to being done the whole book. It's crazy. Like, we just did Contact, and it was only an hour and like 30 minutes, and we were talking about the movie, the audiobook, and the novel. And cuts me and you doing Jurassic Park, and we're like 12 hours in.
So just so everybody knows, we've done a whole bunch of stuff. We're now on the 6th iteration. The kids are out of the jungle right now. They're on their way back to the visitor center. The T-Rex is sedated. Maybe doesn't come up again. Did the Rex die? Is the Rex?
I don't think we ever hear about it again.
Rex might be dead. Let's say it's dead, because that sounds like that would make Muldoon really happy. But things are gone haywire. There's no power. They fucked that up.
Yeah, because
Arnold's dead.
They had it on the reserve backup generator, right? And it ran out of gas, basically, didn't it?
Yeah, and Arnold didn't realize that they were on the backup generator because he's a ding dong. But it don't matter because he's dead.
He is dead, right? Like he's done. Like they don't really.
He's got to be dead.
He's dead.
Gennaro at this point is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
He might be dead. He was tussling with a raptor, which never works out well for anybody.
Raptor tussle.
Friggin' Muldoon was stuck in a pipe for a long time, but I think he's out of the pipe now.
Yeah, he shot the raptor's leg off or something.
And Henry did like a weird, like drove up in a Jeep and saved him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Everybody else is hanging out in Ian's room, which sounds like a party, except he's probably got gangrene.
Yeah, they keep
and like the raptors are trying to get him.
They keep describing the smell, and it's just kind of gross because he's only been like hurt for like less than a day. It's the crazy thing.
The more and more I listen to this book, the more I'm horrified.
I know. It's good. They do, Michael Crichton for the win. And Muldoon is drunk at this point. Like, he's been drinking for so long. He is officially drunk, I think.
Yeah. Because that's like the first thing in the first, like, so now we're into the 6th iteration. Another thing that we never reconcile. So, like, remember the raptor that Alan shoots? Remember when he finds the electric car? So right now it opens up Alan, Tim, and what's her face?
Lex
are in an electric car flying down this tunnel, Austin Powers style.
Yeah.
Remember when he found the car because he gets locked away from the kids?
Yeah.
He like darts a raptor.
Yeah.
And they got like tied up in the back of this electric car. But then like they just leave it behind, don't they? Like you never really hear about it again.
You know what's crazy? I made a mental note of this because I was so concerned. They actually, once they get to the visitor center, there's a whole bunch of cages they describe where the garage is, and they said they put the baby raptor in a cage and they give him a dish of water. Because I remember rocking Bennett, and I was like, "No, that's nice. Like they're gonna, the baby raptor's okay."
That's funny.
Yeah, so he's.
But this is also like this is the first time that Tim, Alan, and Lex, the trio, like really get a vibe of how bad things are. Because they're like, we're gonna get milkshakes and food, and I'm sure Grant's like, I'm finally fucking done with these kids. Like I'm gonna unload them, and they walk in, and it's like apocalyptic. All these people we haven't seen until right now are dead.
Yeah,
like the lodge is like destroyed. Which is like a thing that never happened really in the movie. Like the lodge was like under construction, and that one T-Rex skeleton gets like destroyed, but it wasn't like a herd of dinosaurs went through there.
No, it wasn't like, fucking Mad Max. Did they describe the T-Rex being like upside down with all the animatronic stuff out of it? But
yeah,
that wasn't like that in the movie, right? It was just a skeleton, wasn't it?
It was just a skeleton because remember they have like spoilers. They have that part where like the raptors are chasing them and then they climb through the ceiling. And then they're like they're climbing down the skeleton maybe.
Yeah.
And one of the raptors jumps through it and then like a bunch of them are like hanging off different parts of the Rex bones.
Such a great scene. Fuck, the movie's good.
It's almost more, I don't know, like design wise, not to sound like a design yuppie here, but I did do 5 years of theater school.
Oh.
Like, I think the skeleton's a much more interesting choice because like you walk in, you see an animatronic and you're like, that's cool, but it's an animatronic. You know what I mean?
Especially if you have real dinosaurs at the park. Like, what would be the point?
Like, even, like, most of the zoo specimens, like, I know, like, they're copies of, like, other dinosaurs. But you're like, that's a real dinosaur.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I liked the part, I'm just jumping around here, but I like the part where, like, Wu in his head is just, like, secretly happy that the dinosaurs are breeding. Because he's like, I did it right. I made some wild fucking dinosaurs. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. That I took note of that too. That where he's like, the reason I know I did it right is because they're reproducing.
Yeah.
And like, sure, like, and like existing in this environment with like, despite him almost.
Yeah, it's cool. This is a very cool part of the book, I think.
It's like Wu's a really square. Screw is Wu is like a preacher. Is like a preacher dad. You know what I mean? Like super square. And then his son turns into a punk rocker. But his son turns into a really successful punk rocker despite him. So like he's really proud that he's really successful. But you know what I mean? He's really upset right now because it's not working out for him. But like who's gonna take over the church?
Dr. Wu, Dr. Wong is gonna take it over. It's fucked up. You know what I thought was really neat was that how in the movie it's mostly just them in the kitchen, but in this version, like they're in the dark in the kitchen, so it adds such a cool element of like even more scary because I love that they use those night vision goggles as like a really important device. Oops, that might possibly save them, but Lex has no way to see anything. So she has no idea how close the raptors and shit are to them.
Yeah, well, it's weird because like it must be like it's another movie thing where it's like almost so corrupted in my mind from the movie where like I forget how how dark it is in the book. Because in my mind, like there's still like it's a movie kitchen, but then like the part where like Tim's like it's right there, like is I'm like oh like it's absolutely dark in there.
Yeah, I think it's neat. They even like set it all up with like all the pilots lights being on and like the stoves.
Mhm.
Even though the doors, they describe the doors with the little round windows, and I love that they carried over those little details into the movie because
Mhm.
everybody remembers that because the Velociraptor like breathes on the window. So cool. Um, but I liked that he lines up all the stakes to go into the freezer, like trying to lure
I
the
know.
raptor in.
It's such a Looney Tunes thing, you know what I mean? Like
I know. Tim gets some pretty wicked like dialogue going in his head when he's just like, why didn't the raptor take the steak? Could they smell meat? Could they smell Lex? Like, do they not like the meat? Is it
mhm.
out? Is it too cold? And then it just goes for the meat. But it's kind of cool because I've found that in a couple of parts of the book, like Michael Crichton just kind of like randomly will go into like a very realistic line of thinking for you if you're stuck in a situation like that, because it
Mhm.
goes from like being like a adventure horror sci-fi thing where you're like, okay, this is a novel I'm reading, but then it's like when Tim's talking about like his parents splitting up randomly, when they're walking across a field we talked about earlier, it just kind of like grounds the book into being more like relatable, even though you're knee deep in clone dinosaurs and night vision. I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. Totally random
Yeah.
thought.
I also had the thought, like, it's funny. In one of the most recent listens, I was like, it's funny that Tim had this idea of like luring the dinosaurs with steaks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, in the same iteration, like, we have then Grant trying to feed the friggin' the raptors, which will come up later. It's my favorite part of the book. We'll
Yeah,
talk about it
that's
later.
really good.
So yeah, so while we have this going on, we have Tim and Lex sorting out food in the kitchen. Grant's I think at this point, Grant is like has made communication with them. They're like, yeah, it really sucks. We're gonna get eaten by raptors because they're chewing through the metal. And this is like Muldoon has that real drunk moment where he's like, they have hyenas. They have 1,500 pounds of like bite force, and they're enough to chew through a seal. It's like, holy smokes, but like, come back, wake up.
Yeah, now that his
um,
ankle's fucked up too.
and so that's happening. Gennaro's MIA at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and there's like a line where it's like Harding or they say like to Grant, like, you're the only one that can do this. And I just imagine Grant being like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So that Grant's gonna go and try to turn the power back on, right?
Yeah, which is funny because Ellie does it in the movie, and Jeff Goldblum is guiding her. But now we get Wu guiding Grant, which is like bizarre. It's so weird. It's like even though this is the source material, it's like I'm like watching alternate versions of like what could have happened with the movie characters.
Yeah, and it's like, why does Woos know so much about how to turn the power on?
I don't. He just knows that computer shit. He even knew how to like. He's like, oh, it's a fuel pump on the Honda generator. I'm like, you need to work for us, Woo.
The pump's lost his prime.
Yeah,
But
he was so
also, like,
concerned.
you got to think that Grant probably deals a lot with generators. So how come Grant just doesn't know this? You know what I mean? Like,
I also thought it was funny, because they made a point to say that Grant was getting really frustrated and he hits his head and he's like getting kind of like. At
yeah,
that point, I felt like the kids were rubbing off on him, and like he had only been with the kids through all these traumatic things, and now he's dealing with adults again, and he's like getting real sassy with them. I was like, oh shit, the kids have like had this osmosis effect on him. It's so funny.
the other part of this that's happening is when Grant goes to whatever we call it, where the generator is. Ellie has to distract the raptors, and there's like kind of a sweet moment where Ellie's like, "Don't tell Grant. Grant will worry you too much."
Yeah, but they don't have like a romantic relationship, right?
I know, and we've talked about this before because like in the movies, which we'll get to when we get to the movies, there's definitely some romantic tension.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna like for all I know, like Grant could be asexual to be honest. Because like
True.
there's a whole thing where like that's a wild accusation, speculation, inference. But like he definitely is not interested in having kids, and that is a thing that has come up with Ellie and Grant in the movies.
That's true. Well, even when Tim was asking her, Grant, about if they were going to get married and stuff, he kind of like smiled. I remember, I don't know, there were some little details, and it was kind of
Yeah.
like, I felt like maybe something could have happened, but didn't happen. You know,
Mhm.
because they're out there in the desert having drinks and stuff, their beers and their dinosaur bone hunting, and maybe at one point their relationship could have taken that turn. He knows it and Ellie knows it, but maybe it never
Yeah.
actually came to fruition.
Well, there's the awkwardness too in Jurassic Park 3 where he goes to meet Ellie and she now has her own family.
Yeah.
And like he's playing, remember he's playing with the kid and he's like, Charlie, no, like that actually that dinosaur wouldn't eat that other dinosaur because that's a herbivore. And she's like, Grant, he's a kid. Like give him a not getting through. But there's definitely some tension in that situation too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because like the whole crux of that, spoilers for when we get to Jurassic Park 3 next year sometime.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because she's the one that saves the day, right? Like he gets the panic phone call through as the cage is sinking. And she's like, Grant, and she like puts together that they're on that island and she
Mm-hmm.
sends the Costa Rican military. And like even like the Kirby kids, like she's a really good one. Like you should have, you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
I don't remember
And
it.
even
Did they talk about that in World 3? Like their relationship at all? I can't remember. Maybe
no,
it's
I felt
blur.
like their like relationship in 3 was a little bit more jovial.
Hmm.
Um But I like it's weird. Jurassic World 3 is a bit of a blur in my brain. I should watch that again soon.
Honestly, it's a blur because it's the least interesting of all of them, probably. Although apparently the Camp Cretaceous cartoon ties into part 3.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. Which we'll get to
Um
in 2028, you know?
right funnily enough, right when Colossal Biosciences expects to have a woolly mammoth.
Right. That's insane. As my dad would
Um
say, but why?
I just imagine like Malcolm quotes coming out of your dad.
He kind of is. He's like, it's just funny because I would never talk about, my dad would never want to talk about dinosaurs. He's usually watching the History Channel and he's like, did you know Hitler is still alive and he lives in Idaho? And I'm like, really? Was that on the
Yeah, like
History Channel? Like,
I'm not throwing shade at your dad, but if we could somehow convince him that it was tied in with aliens or Oak Island, like he'd be the most educated person about it.
oh my God. I know he was watching a UFO special when I left today. I was like, oh man, yes. Oh boy. It's fun though. I'll give him that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I don't even know what part were we at.
So they send Ellie out to distract the raptors,
Right,
which is
right.
like a crazy thing. And like Muldoon's like drunk, like egging them on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
funny.
there was a part in this that I really loved where they talk like they're constantly talking about the degradation of the park. Like the park's brand new, but she talks about like how rusty the gate is. And like this has come up in like the other like iterations where like they find every time they find a piece of park infrastructure, it's fucked somehow.
Mm.
Like when they get behind the waterfall and they find like that weird infrastructure, like they're talking about how everything's covered in mold because
Yeah,
of the humidity. And like same thing like when they were at the feeding station in the sauropod paddock. I'm so happy I'm pulling out these details right now. Um, and they find the maps or whatever, and they're talking about like all the papers are covered in mold and like you know like it's this degradation, and that really speaks to um like an academic version of like man versus nature, and in this case, nature's winning. And
yeah,
like that's really it's funny because like Crichton has created this thing that is man versus nature, but it's also like kind of man, like I don't know, like do we call the dinosaurs nature? Like it's such a weird man versus man concept. I don't know. It's really interesting.
From what I've got from the novel so far and the movies, it's almost like even though man interfered with making them and bringing them back, it's almost like they become nature, you know? It's almost like revenge of nature from us fucking with it. That's what they have become. Even if they're destined to like die, they kind of like get us back on the way out, you know?
Mhm.
It's really
I,
fucked up.
I'm gonna flag this for a future podcast when it comes up. There's like a great interaction with Ellie and Malcolm in the cars, where it's like God creates dinosaurs, God kills dinosaurs, God creates man, man kills God, man creates dinosaurs, and then Ellie's like, and dinosaurs kill man, and woman inherits the earth.
I remember in the theater when I saw that everybody laughed. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't get it because I was like 8, but
yeah, I know. It's one of the like Ellie in the movie. I think Ellie does. There's more justice given to Ellie in the movie than there is in the book.
oh yeah, Laura Dern is really fucking good. I think that
So
Spielberg was good getting her.
like even that part where Ellie's like she sees Grant, like that's a funny thing. Like this is actually that exact transition. So we like because we're just at that part where Grant gets to the lodge after like the shit hits the fan. In the movie when he gets to the lodge, he's like looking around. He's like, "Where is everybody?" And the first thing he finds is Ellie, right after she turned the power on and just had like an encounter with a raptor and had to do some minor gymnastics.
Yeah.
Like at least her second encounter actually, because she runs in her and Muldoon, R.I.P. in the movie, have the encounter where he's like, "We're being hunted," and she's gonna haul ass into the thing. And then she runs into another raptor, the one that killed Arnold, and she just had Arnold's arm on her shoulder. And then the next thing she sees is like she's like limping up to like Grant, and she's just like, "Run!"
I don't know if this is true, but I read like a trivial thing where when she's dragging the flashlight behind her, it was an accident apparently.
It's such a good detail though, because like you would think like if you were panicked and you were just like hauling ass to get away from that situation, like you probably wouldn't even notice.
No, I don't even know what I would do. I'd probably just die from fright instantly.
Dude, you want to see something spooky? This is a total segue. But look for videos of divers panicking.
Oh,
And they do
God.
everything you wouldn't imagine. Like, so like for a little bit of flavor text, I happen to be a dive master.
What
If
don't you
anybody's
do,
out there
Cody?
But like, so like when a diver panics, it's crazy because like they like spit out the regulator, which is your source of air, and then often like will rip off their goggles. So like the video of it's happening is crazy because people are just like full on like bug-eyed underwater. Like they don't even look human anymore.
Oh my
It's like
God.
they tell us like if you're dealing with a person like that, like you actually supposed to try to hold the regulator in their mouth and like take them to the surface.
That would be so
But like,
scary.
but it's like the epitome of panic, right? Like you just lose total logic.
What
But
would
that's why
cause
Laura
them to
Dern
do that?
dragged a flashlight. There's lots of reasons. Like people just panic for different reasons.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I always
a
wanted. I
wild
took
one.
scuba dive training, but like, I think I'm too old to do it now, like from scratch, because I would just freak out.
Dude, there's like this weird thing where like there's a lot of people that start diving. There's a demographic of people start diving. There are 40-year-old men that have just had heart attacks. I swear to God, it's a real thing. So it's never, dude, you are way in the shade. Like you could totally dive.
I don't
But I
know.
feel like what you actually want to do is free dive.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I'd be
We'll
down
talk.
with
Well,
it.
I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up.
We'll talk after the podcast.
So Raptors are chewing their way through. Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Ellie is distracting the Raptors. But they're also realizing the Raptors are getting privy. Like they feel
Yeah.
like they're putting on a show for Raptors, but they also feel like the Raptors are putting a show on for them.
Yeah, and I think that that's funny that Wu and that's that Wu moment where he's like, "Oh, I did it. Like they're wild animals. I feel pretty good about this, even though they're fucking killing everybody." And then he gets killed.
Yeah. And like horrifically killed. Like it's funny. Like the first time I read through this, I was like, oh, like a bunch of people die. The next time I read through, I was like, oh, like Nidri's death's really horrific. And then like in the most recent read through, I was like, Wu's death is really horrific.
Yeah, they like describe them eating him alive, and he's like, his guts are coming out. It's fucking gross.
They're like, yeah, it's trying to push the head away as it's eating his intestines.
So disgusting. And the weird thing is, he's such an important person in Jurassic everything with the movie and the cartoon, but he's dead in the book in the first one.
It's so wild, though. I wish I could remember the name of that actor.
Oh, I can't remember.
But like the character he plays in the first Jurassic Park is drastically different than the character he plays in every other Jurassic Park. It's almost not even the same person.
I know he's like a throwaway character almost. Like when I was a kid, I was never like, "Oh, that's Wu. He made the dinosaurs." They just make it seem like he's one of the regular employees, like filling out some shit on a sheet. You know, they don't actually say that he's the one who makes the dinosaurs, do they? In the movie?
No, I don't think they give him that much credit. I think they say he's like the lead scientist, but they definitely give him more credit in the book. And it's weird because like I think there's like a weird thing in the subsequent movies, like the sequels, where it's like, oh, it has to be this guy. But the whole thing is that like I don't know, like I never got that feeling in the book. Like sure, Henry was at the the forefront of the technology.
Yeah.
But then the technology exists, like I'm not gonna say anybody could do it, but you know what I mean? Like he's not that valuable. Like he's definitely not like this malicious, like, oh, we need him to create monsters for the military. Like
Yeah, they kind of make it just seem like they plucked him out of going on to the next stage of his life and convincing him not to do that stage because he wouldn't have ample opportunities. And they're like, come with us. We'll let you, we'll do some stuff, Mr. Wu. But he's dead. And
yeah, in the book he did.
yeah, he's toast.
It'll
And
be interesting to
Ellie's
see if he comes up in
Lost World.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm stoked to read that. I know nothing
Or
about that
sorry,
novel.
if he comes up in Rebirth.
Oh. Rebirth, man. I can't even believe there's a new Jurassic movie coming out. That's insane.
I was actually watching the trailer today. I was showing it to a friend, and I have to go back and watch it again because I thought they said an island off of Barbados or Bermuda. And I'm like, if that's the case, this is a whole new island.
Well, don't they say this is like the one where they make them originally? That's very
They
confusing.
say it was the original research lab for the original park, but we know Isla Sorna and Isla Nublar, but I'm pretty sure both of those islands are in the Pacific.
Hmm.
And if this island's off the coast of Bermuda or Barbados, then that would be in the Atlantic and the Caribbean.
We'll have to do an episode where we just have everybody guessing about what's about to happen right before we see the movie.
Honestly, dude, the length it takes us to do an iteration, like we could do the trailer as one podcast.
That's true. We could do that. I was looking up like the rules, and as long we're allowed to play the whole trailer in our video because it's considered promotional material for the movie.
Mhm.
And like they allow it as long as we're talking over it and like pausing it every so often. So when does the movie come out? Is it July or June?
I think it's July.
Well, that's plenty of
If it's
time.
yeah, we should. Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. The Slush podcast got to do a trailer breakdown.
That'll be our first one ever.
Yeah, well, like it's like this is the first time we're doing something that's upcoming. Like this is more of like a historical chronologue. So
Yeah, we totally meant to do that.
we're pushing the barriers, people, and stand by for that auction.
We're gonna have probably like a zillion Jurassic episodes eventually. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I had a box of the Lost World cereal forever since the movie came out. I was looking for it in my old bedroom today. Could not find it. I own a box of the Lost World cereal.
Your dad probably ate it.
I still have my cup from the theater with like the logo on it. I think it just says like something has survived.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, Ellie fucking jumps from the top of a building into a pool. That part's kind of intense to get away from the raptors.
That sequence was really, I don't know, that whole thing I found really stunning, actually. Like her little escape after Wu gets obliterated.
Yeah, because she like says she's basically high off of adrenaline, right? Like just doing crazy shit, running from raptors. And poor what's his name? The vet
Oh, Harding.
He opens the door to be like, Ellie, and then he gets the little raptor claws in the chest.
Yeah.
So he's toast, right? We don't hear from him again, do we?
No, I think he's still alive. I thought he
Oh,
was
is
still
he?
alive.
I thought he was dead.
Also, segue like that the idea that Sarah Harding is his daughter is something I love.
Is it
I never
true?
thought about it until I don't know. I mean, how true could it be? You know what I mean? But I love the idea of it.
I don't know. That would be funny.
Because in my mind, like the Harding character doesn't even really exist from Jurassic Park. Like it's such a throwaway character, and like there was so much development that went into him in the book. So in my mind, they brought in Sarah Harding as like his log to throw back for the original book. So I don't know. Either way, I like it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I never thought of that. I feel like
you know how it is. They write
Yeah.
characters and then they try to find names for them, right? So
Yeah, and they're nice little like trivial things to throw to fans too, who, anybody else reading it like a critic wouldn't think much of it, but we know as people who were like spending 12 hours on YouTube talking about the novel, we'll pick up on.
we're gonna do a crossover right now with Star Trek. Star Trek Strange New Worlds on the bridge of the Enterprise, which is a legacy set from Star Trek Discovery. But on the bridge of the Enterprise, on the left side of the door of the turbo lift, there's a turbo lift with two plaques. On the left side, it's the original crew of the Enterprise. But if you got really, really close to it, instead of being like some made up names from Starfleet, it's actually the crew of the film shoot from the first season.
Really?
Yeah, so like there's like it's like one of them is like the gaffer, one of them's the key grip. Like it's really like, it's a throwback that I really appreciate.
That's neat. We should just do some Strange New Worlds. I'd love to do a Star Trek series. Just start at the beginning and watch everything.
Dude, I tried it, but man, 24 episode seasons is wild.
Yeah, I love the 60s Star Trek though. I'd be totally all about it.
Here's what we should do then. We should do like some 60 Star Trek stuff. We should do 60 Star Trek and the analogs to the modern Star Treks. So like there's an episode in DS9 where they go like it's literally the Trouble with Tribbles episode, and then they put DS9 characters in that episode.
That was like groundbreaking back then. They're like, we green screened them in. It's crazy.
It's actually wild cinema. But it'd be cool because like Strange New Worlds runs like just before the original, like what Lower Decks coined as those old scientists.
I always thought that Strange New Worlds was in the Prime universe. Is it in the original universe?
Which one's the Prime universe?
It's like the J.J. Abrams one, how they're rewriting history.
No. It's
weird. It looks
it's more
so similar.
Because I think that's the thing is everybody's always like the Strange New Worlds bridge is like too sciencey. And it's like, listen, if they would have had like back in the day, if they would have had this much money and this much technology, this is what they would have done. But you know what they do on the Strange New Worlds bridge is like the buttons on the consoles are replicas of the buttons from the original series. So in the original series, they glued like candy on the console, and they've now made like little like jube shape.
That is insane.
Yeah,
that's cool though. They did that, making them proud back then. I still would love to do Star Trek stuff though. We'll get to that eventually. There's so much stuff to cover. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun.
Post in the comments what you want to hear from us next.
Just tentacle porn. It's Sully. I have a Sully episode coming up actually next Friday. It's already on the timer. I was thinking I'd make a video for people how to like navigate through playlists on YouTube because I think a lot of people don't know how to use YouTube properly, is what I'm gathering.
I don't.
Oh man. It's like, yeah, the playlists are key. Anywho, where's Grant right now? He turned on the generator, right?
Turn on the generator and he finds Gennaro.
Yes. They say he's in a truck, right?
Yeah, he's hiding from the compies in the truck.
How is there a truck underground?
No, I don't think he's underground. I think, like, it's so funny to imagine this, but I think he comes out of the generator shack. I mean, maybe it is underground, actually.
I don't know.
I didn't put that much thought into it. But I mean, they had that whole electric car underground.
Exactly. It's weird.
So,
hey, I don't know. In my mind, underground Jurassic Park is becoming a lot bigger every time I read the book. And it's just so strange because it never comes up in the movie, but in the cartoon, it's like a really big thing. Like it's very big in Camp Cretaceous. So
I only thought of this recently, like just this very second, but I'm like, why would you have so much underground infrastructure in a place that is also so like seismically and like geologically active? Because remember, they also talk about like steam, like coming out of like, you know, everything's geothermal. Well, I guess not everything's geothermal. Why isn't the power geothermal? Why do they run out of gas at all?
Because it's the 90s, son. They got those cameras watching the dinosaurs and the motion trackers. And
But wild idea. Maybe like the infrastructure, like one of the reasons they chose that island is because they can use the lava tubes as infrastructure.
you never know.
Anyways, that's a throwaway thing.
That's another deep dive episode on the logistics of Jurassic Park operating.
Mm-hmm.
Could be fun.
So yeah, Grant finds Gennaro, and they're like, "Whoa, compies are like scavengers." Blah 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 blah.
And they kind of determined that. Did they say that the Velociraptor that attacked Gennaro was the one that Muldoon shot, right?
Yes. And he said, yeah, which is like a thing I forgot from the last episode. I was like, because in my mind, like that raptor was like dripping blood because it had just eaten Arnold. But you were right. It was the one that Muldoon shot. But like Muldoon says, these things are notoriously hard to kill. So do we add that one to the raptor kill count or do we not? We don't really know.
Because they don't know if he's dead yet, right?
Yeah. And like, I can't remember. They said there was like 6 or 8 raptors. There's like,
I was trying to figure that out too. Was it 8?
I don't know, man. Well, we've blown up a raptor. We've shot a raptor that may potentially be bleeding out somewhere. Let's say for like safe bet though, it's locked into the generator area.
Yeah.
And then there's the raptor that Tim lures into the fridge.
Yeah, there's 3.
3 unhinged raptors off the table.
Unhinged raptors.
I think this is also the time where Tim and Lex, they've dealt with the raptor in the kitchen. Lex isn't getting her milkshake. And now they're into like that weird like research wing. And I think they stumble onto that baby raptor.
Oh my God. You know what? The baby raptor scene is so sad.
And this is why I've been saying the whole time that these raptors are unhinged. Because they're like, oh, look, here's a cute little adorable raptor. And they're like, oh, go tell, like, Tim's like, here you go, give it back. It's like the opposite of that scene in Jurassic Park 3 where Billy's like stole the eggs. And then Billy's like, they have to give the eggs back to the parents.
Yeah.
And the parents just take them and run off. This is like the opposite. They give the baby back to the raptors being like, here you go. And they just rip it to shreds.
Yeah, the way they described that was horrifying. I was just like, ooh.
Like, it's absolutely psychotic behavior. Like, I know it's weird to start, like, analyzing, like, things that don't exist now, let alone things that only exist in a book. But, like, that is crazy. Like, that is, I've been locked in a cage for the entirety of my life behavior.
They just ate they ate their own baby. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So gross. I felt so bad for the raptor because they just gave the previous raptor some water. They're like, you're going to be okay, buddy. Now Tim is like, whoa, raptor food.
That might be the most horrific thing these kids have seen.
I think so. Yeah, I feel really bad.
Especially, there's so many like funny like there's that one like that point a little bit later where like Tim finally gets the computer to like start rebooting things, and Lex is just like, "Ew!" And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "I was standing on an ear," and
Yeah.
Tim's like, "Yep, there's just an ear there." Like,
Yeah, they
it's such a
never ever
funny
go back to like say why she's just standing on an ear, you know?
bit.
But yeah, that's fucked up. I thought that because then at that part, that's when like Grant and uh Gennaro come to the rescue of the kids, right? They just kind of
Yeah.
like burst in and they're like, "Oh," and Grant's like, "I got this. Take the kids and get out of here."
Yeah, to not go totally way back, but speaking about the kids, we like often talk about like how like this must like be fucking up the kids, and it definitely seems that Tim has like a handle on how crazy this situation is. But we often speculate about Lex and Lex's ability to comprehend what's going on. And there's that part when Grant and the kids first get to the lodge and they find like the first security guy that's dead. And Lex makes a comment being like, "Why isn't the blood like more red?"
Oh
And
yeah,
Tim's literally like, "You're morbid."
yeah,
And she's just like, "What does morbid mean?" Like,
I know.
she might be a psychopath as well.
I think that it puts her down a dark path after this, which they never explored in the movie. I was so disappointed that Tim and Lex were only in the movie for like literally 30 seconds. Like, what's the point of even putting them in there?
We should write a graphic novel. It's just like Lex becomes the dinosaur slayer, and her whole job is to wipe the dinosaurs off the face of the earth.
Why weren't they in part 3 of Jurassic World? It's bullshit.
No, it makes sense because like the only continuity, like the whole reason they go to Alan Grant is because he's the only one that will talk to them that has experience on the island. Because it's not like an InGen mission. Like Jurassic Park 2, that was a thing. InGen was doing a thing. Hammond was involved. Hammond was hiring them to go in there and try to like usurp InGen. Like it made sense that they would be involved that way. This like Jurassic Park 3 is an Alan Grant story, not an InGen story.
Oh, I mean Jurassic World 3, how they all came back. Remember?
Oh yeah, I don't know. You know, I don't know. They probably have better things to do.
Wait till we
they probably
get to that. That movie, we're all just gonna be like, well, what the fuck, you know?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they didn't look the same as they did back then, so they didn't have the same star power.
the kid who plays Tim looks vastly different. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, of course.
But the girl who plays Lex, she looks pretty much the same. She's like a painter now. She's pretty good too. I digress.
We'll put a link to her art in the
We'll have her on the next episode. That'd be amazing. Let's see what we can do. I'll send them a 3D printed raptor tube thing. Yeah. For their troubles. But yeah, no, yeah, the control center, all that stuff is totally getting wrecked. It's kind of scary. There's dead bodies everywhere.
It's funny too because like Gennaro, I don't know where Gennaro goes. Gennaro like kind of drops the kids off point, or have they already reestablished power? Because there's like the point where like, oh yeah, they have to because they were talking. The kids are talking to Muldoon over the walkie.
Mm-hmm.
Muldoon are like, things are bad, and he's like, Tim, do you know how to turn the power on? And Lex is like, you don't know, Tim. And Tim's like, I might. Like, I'll give it a try.
I know. She's like, tell him, Timmy. And he's like, oh, yeah, I got this. It's no problem. He does end up turning it from auxiliary back over to main power, though, at the end of the 6th iteration, I believe.
Well, before, because this is the part. So they go into the daycare. I just can't remember. They must have turned the power on before because some of the doors are locked.
I think
so. They get the power on.
Was it the main power? I thought they were still on auxiliary power even when they turned the doors on.
I just know they get the power on. I think they're on main power because they get the power on. They have the whole thing where they like send the poor baby raptor into its demise.
Mm-hmm.
Then Grant hands them off to So they must have turned the power on first because then Grant gets into Gennaro, and they're dealing with the raptors in the daycare, and they talk about as they're opening doors, like alarms and stuff are going off. And this leads into my favorite part of the book, where they get into like the lab with all like the genetic toxins.
Yeah, your
And Grant
classic
starts,
glowing goop.
dude, it's like it's such an amazing part of the book. And Grant's starting to inject the toxins in the eggs and rolling them.
Yeah, like the way that that was all written, I'm surprised they didn't do that in the movie because they totally could have done that.
It was just awesome.
I
Like I
was
can't
I was hoping that they
spec
would
it.
have done that part actually. Like I like the lodge stuff with the T-Rex or the raft stuff with the T-Rex. Like there's no doubt in my mind it's going to be wicked. But part
Yeah,
of me still has hope that they'll put the glowing egg injection thing into Rebirth because it sounds so cool that I'm surprised they haven't done it in any of the movies yet.
yeah. Well, I think so many of the movies are based on like like everything being destroyed. You know what I mean?
True.
Like when they get to the facility in the Lost World, like it's already like totally fucked.
Yeah, it hasn't even been that many years either.
No. And same thing with Jurassic Park 3, like it's more or less the same facility.
Yeah, that's
But
true. I'm stoked to rewatch these now. I think I'll have like a by reading all these over and over again, these chapters, I think it's like really made me have new eyes on all of the sequels and all of the
mhm,
movies. It's great. It's almost like I'm seeing them all again for the first time after this. It's weird.
mhm.
Um,
I meant to look up to this is a little bit of a segue, but I meant to look up to see how toxic like those genetic toxins or whatever he was talking about, molecular toxins. Because
well,
like the way he describes it is like like the the raptors like eat an egg, and then it's like a count of 5, and then they're like full on like dying.
I love that one of the raptors tries to eat the raptor that's dying, and then the dying raptor like snaps out of it for a second and gets pissed off. Even though like his head he's been foaming at the mouth so much you can barely see his head.
Dude,
Uh,
unhinged behavior.
it is unhinged. Fucked. But the other raptor, does he die he dies faster than the first one, doesn't he? When he eats the
Well, I
egg?
think I don't think faster, but there's like a little bit of a I think I can't there's got to be 8 raptors because I think Grant gets 3 raptors there because Grant gets the first raptor with the egg.
Mm-hmm.
It scraps with the second raptor. Then the second raptor picks up an egg.
Mm-hmm.
And then Grant ends up tussling with a raptor and he stabs it with a syringe
Oh
and like
yeah.
injects the poison directly.
He sticks in his tail.
Yeah.
That was a pretty crazy fight because he literally is like head to head with a raptor rolling on the ground.
I bet you that's why they never adapted that scene to the film. Because can you imagine, like, even today, trying to do like a realistic raptor fight without it looking like cheeseball?
No, I can't. Even
Yeah.
in the Lost in Jurassic World, when Owen is like doing the dinosaur thing, where he's like stopping them, it's weird, man. It's funny that we've gotten to the point where you can put velociraptors full body in broad daylight interacting with humans because you know it's CGI. It doesn't look nearly as good as the kitchen scenes in Jurassic Park 1, you know?
Yeah. Maybe I'm biased. I love Jurassic Park, like the Lost World so much. But I think like the best use of raptors is like there's that scene in Jurassic Park 2 where they're going through like the long grass and like there's so it probably wasn't a drone shot, it was probably like some kind of crane shot, but they're like looking down on top of like the people going through the grass and you can see their tracks,
Oh yeah,
and then you see
right.
the raptors moving in and then people just start getting like screaming and getting picked out by raptors. But then um it's Malcolm's daughter and
Sarah
there's
Harding.
somebody else. No, Sarah, I think. Oh, maybe Sarah is there. But they have this whole thing where they run into the InGen complex and they're getting chased by raptors. And I actually think that is like the best use, the best they've done with like human. Well, I don't know. The Muldoon thing is great too. There's like a shot of Malcolm like in a truck, and the raptor's like smashing its face through the glass to
Oh,
get at him.
I just watched that scene yesterday. Yeah, that
And
part's
like
it's like almost all one shot kind of thing.
Yeah, and like that's cool. And there's like the part that people shit on that movie some of the most is like then like that the part of that whole sequence is like when the girl uses gymnastics to hit the raptor.
You were cut
And
from
there's
the
just
team?
but like as soon as like a cast member makes contact with a raptor, somehow it becomes totally unbelievable. Like you can have the raptor pushing its way through the glass and like almost ready to bite you, and like that's like seems crazy and cool, and like that's a really interesting shot. But like if he would have kicked it in the nose, somehow like we would disassociate the two. You know what I mean? Like somehow it becomes not realistic anymore.
Oh yeah, because Grant kicks a raptor in the face when he puts his head up through the ceiling,
Yeah.
which is insane. I feel like the raptor would have ripped his goddamn leg off, but
But you know, like, but you know what I mean? Like, it is just like there's some kind of disconnect. As soon as we see in a movie somebody touch something that doesn't exist anymore, like, I don't think it's a fault of the movie. It's just somehow our brain disassociates it.
what if they're running beside the motorcycle scene? You know what do you think of
I
that?
love, I love that whole sequence, but I was like
So
really
did
young when I
I.
watched it.
What Jurassic World?
Yeah. Oh no, I know what you're talking about. I'm thinking like that when they're catching the dinosaurs in Lost World.
Oh, that part's cool. And they're going through the
Yeah.
legs and stuff, like the ATVs and things.
Yeah, like Jurassic World, like it was kind of cool, but it's just like it's a little cheeseball.
Jurassic World, I feel like was made. I feel like Jurassic World should have existed like way back in the 90s when they were doing these for the kids who love Jurassic Park.
Here's the thing about. So we get to like, this is interesting because this is the first time we've had a chance to compare Jurassic World directly to the Lost World. In Jurassic World, he's like running in tandem with these raptors, and he's like doing it on like a scrambler motorcycle through like the jungle with no helmet.
With no helmet.
Within like the Lost World, at least they were on like all-terrain motorcycles. They were wearing helmets. Like somehow it's more believable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think once we get to the Jurassic World movies, yeah, I don't know.
It'd be like if they shot Armageddon and they're like at one point one of them the oil drillers on Armageddon pulled out a motorcycle and was driving around the asteroid.
You know what's stupid though? I love it. I still think it's great.
No, like I don't know. You're right, but it's like not totally. It's hard to suspend my disbelief for that part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I appreciate it exists, but like I don't know. Like to compare the two, one of them's more believable than the other.
I think that once they finally clone dinosaurs, somebody's gonna try to ride a motorcycle with some raptors, and like an influencer, and they'll just get eaten or something.
But that is a little bit of like the charm of like Lost World is that like because we talk a little bit about the trucks for catching like them catching dinosaurs in the book. All the things they built were like kind of believable. Like at one point they tranquilize. I think it was like the Pachycephalosaurus, and then like they have that truck with the arms that come down.
Yeah, that was
Then
cool.
airbags deploy. Like all that stuff. You're like this stuff was made to catch dinosaurs.
I like that they showed them making it too before they went on the trip, and they have all the people welding it, and they're like, "We gotta get the equipment ready," and you're like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be serious," you know? They're gonna go in prepared this time.
Like at no point when you're watching all that, you're like, oh, like this is just like who thought like you're like they're building things to go look and catch dinosaurs. Chris Pratt on his motorcycle, like nobody was like, oh, he made that motorcycle down an autonomous like you know like that's the part where it's like a disconnect.
What's if he's like, we've got a. He says something like he's got a connection with the animals or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because then Blue is really important to like a character almost. Because he gives the T-Rex the nod at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, listen, I love that movie. There's some weird creative decision.
I'm totally here for it though. So a bunch of raptors are dead. And
Yeah,
we've killed 3 + 2, 5 raptors so far, right?
6 because
6?
one's in the one's in the freezer.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. So I think all raptors are pretty much dead, aren't they? We'll find out.
Yes. It might have only been 6 unhinged raptors actually, but they might all be dead. Because we're getting to the point now where I think like they're about to like all reunite. And this was like maybe the most cheeseball line in the whole friggin' book, where like Grant's like we're just getting started.
Oh, when they're like before they're talking about going to get the nests and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because they contact the boat, Tim and them contact the boat, and they basically stop them because
Oh yeah.
he makes up some weird lawyer bullshit about how they're gonna get fined 50 grand and 5 years in jail. So the boat's turned around. It does not make it to the mainland. So that is a loose end tied up. And
Yeah, that's like the one useful thing Gennaro has done this whole time, besides being like Muldoon's squire and carrying his rockets.
oh man, yeah, that's true. It's funny how far he's gone in the book, and in the movie he's just dead so early. Um, so they're in the control center, and then Malcolm and Hammond and Harding is if he's alive? Question mark are back at the
Yeah, I think
lodge.
Harding's still there.
But Tim turns the
Yeah.
power on to the lodge and fries the raptors.
Yeah, but
too.
I think Tim and Lex stay in the control center. And then I think that Gennaro and Grant go and meet up with those guys in the lodge.
Right. Is it in
Because
the seventh iteration that happens, or at the end of the sixth?
no, I think it's the end of the sixth. Because like not to get too far, like the plan, sixth iteration, yada yada. But the seventh iteration starts up with them being like, because Grant's telling them that like, hey, we still have some work to do. So I think Grant's like, leave the kids in the control center, which generally sounds like a bad idea and turns out to be a bad idea for some people down the road. Spoilers. But then Grant's like, I need to go talk to the adults because we need to actually figure this the fuck out. And so like him and Gennaro go back
Oh yeah, right.
and they're talking because like in the beginning of the seventh, like it talks about Hammond's like picking up, being like, well, that disaster's averted. Like, which is like,
Yeah, I feel like
is it?
he's lost his marbles at this point. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Tim and Lex stay there messing with the computers. I love how they're like making a point to be like, they're touch screen. You can touch the screen.
Dude, I was thinking about that today, and like it's like the weirdest touchscreen because it's like I was gonna ask
it's
you,
like
have
a
you ever
grid.
seen a touchscreen like this where it's like light?
No, it sounds like. I mean, I can see what they're talking about, how it can motion sense with the. Like, it's basically
Dude,
making a grid of light, isn't it?
it's just Battleship.
Yeah, basically.
It's just Battleship. It's hilarious that that's like the pinnacle of technology.
I think it's funny that, I don't know, looking back at the technology, it's so laughable. But I remember back in the day, CD-ROMs and stuff, people were losing their shit about that stuff coming out. Like, that was like cutting edge technology. It's so weird. I can't even find a computer with a fucking CD-ROM for the life of me. You have to like buy it separately.
Dude, it's wild. Like we grew up with a generation where we went from floppy disks to CDs, and now they're talking about building a halo around the moon.
I know this lunar gateway is gonna be cool. Those fucking modules.
Yeah, if you allow me to take another way segue, but I watched the movie Geostorm last night and talk
never
about
seen
like
it.
a disjointed. The whole idea is like the weather is so terrible. They come up with these satellites that can manipulate the weather, but then they build like a net of satellites around the world, and somebody's taking them over for nefarious reasons. And Gerard Butler sent up to figure out why.
He goes to space.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty cheeseball,
I've
but like it was a
never
fun
even heard of
watch.
this. Although I remember a long time ago, people were complaining or worried about that HARP thing. Do you remember? But they were like, the
Yeah,
microwaves coming from the satellites, they're gonna change the weather, and it's crazy.
yeah, that's a whole like conspiracy level
I
theory
know.
thing. That
We'll have to do a conspiracy episode. That would be funny. We'll have my dad
dude,
on. He can host it.
that's what we should do. We should do every like each one of us brings our own conspiracy that we dive into.
Oh my god, that would be so fun. I don't even
Yeah.
know what mine would be.
Submit your conspiracy theories into the comments, and maybe Matt can choose one of those.
Yeah, I need some help. Have you ever watched In Search Of? They had tons of conspiracy theory stuff on it.
No, I've watched a lot of stuff like that, but I'm sure if you need help, I'm sure John will be more than happy to help you.
He'll be like, the pyramids were built by the same people who did Oak Island, right? Same people. Yeah, so basically that's the sixth iteration. Like, I thought that was pretty good. Like, all the stuff with the raptors in the freezer and the stuff with the eggs and Ellie running away and all that was really cool. Like, that was really, really interesting to read.
Yeah, it's funny. Even though it's very different from the movie, like all like a lot of the things, like the kitchen scene, I imagine from the movie, the Ellie running scene. Like it's funny, even though she doesn't meet up with Grant, I know that like those were very connected things to me. Even like the scene with them in like I know they're very different labs, but like there's that scene when they're trying to get Ellie's trying to or they're trying to get the power up or whatever, and they're in the computer lab, and right before they go in the ceiling, when they're doing all that lab stuff, I kind of imagine it as like the same space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's another thing. The whole ceiling part wasn't in the book, where like
No.
you get Ellie and Grant and the kids back together, so like the whole family unit isn't there in the novel at all, which is
And that's
interesting.
one of like my favorite shots in the movie. It's funny to get into this right now. We'll get into the movie. Is like there's a shot of like they're in the ceiling and the raptors get into that lab and the raptors are trying to figure out where they are and like figure out like they look around and there's a side shot of a raptor, like a profile shot, but it's in front of a projector and it's the projection of the genetic sequences over the raptor.
Yeah, that's cool. I know exactly
Yeah,
which shot that you're talking about.
I was like, that's cool. Like I really dig that.
You
But
know,
then also, like, where was this projector projecting? Like, we've been around this lab the whole time, and not once have I seen a projector. And fucking Arnold smoking like a chimney? Like, that should be beamy as shit.
maybe I got nothing on that. I do remember watching the making of where they've talked about that though back in the day. But
Yeah.
all that stuff is really cool. Once we watch the movie and compare all this stuff, it's going to be really funny because I feel like the movie is just so like I don't know, it seems like trying to adapt this back then is insane that they tried to do this. Like I can't even believe that they're lucky that the CGI dinosaurs all worked out or it would have been really shitty, I think.
Do you think that they had the same thing with us where like technology had already advanced so much that they were like, this motion sensor camera thing makes no fucking sense? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you think they were already like, this is crazy? Or do you think they were just like, that this is too complicated to put in this movie?
I don't know. I think that they're probably on their way to thinking that because Congo came out like a year after, I think, didn't it? And Congo was kind of similar to Jurassic Park with technology and shit, and they had like satellite Skype in that, and that was right after Jurassic Park came out. So I think things were just rolling along so steady that because they never mentioned, like we've talked about this, they never mentioned the technology of how they don't even say that they're keeping track of the dinosaurs. Really, they're just
No.
like in the
Yeah,
movie.
they never even like pretend to like explain that they're like tracking like dinosaur location at all.
Yeah, like there's no cameras that I remember that they talk about ever either. That like
But there's
blend them
also the whole dynamic about the ship with the raptors on it. Like there's no concept in the movie of dinosaurs escaping the island.
No, nothing.
Like in the movie, theoretically, if I guess that's not true because they find dinosaur eggs, like they realize they're breeding in nature. But like arguably, if Nedry hadn't mucked with things, then the park would have opened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Or would it have? Was it just another thing that could have gone wrong before then? Because the compies were already off the island.
well, we never actually see compies in the first Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, like in the
And
movie.
and the only time that dinosaurs make it to the mainland in the movies is when they take the T-Rex to San Diego. And then and then there's also the shot in Jurassic Park 3 of like the pterosaurs like flying away
Oh
from
yeah,
the
that's a cool
island.
shot. Yeah. I mean, I remember watching Jurassic Park when I was a kid, and I was so sad to see the birds flying at the end. I was always like, why couldn't it have been pterodactyls? Then you'd know there was going to be a sequel.
But there was like a weird thing too, but I'm pretty sure there's a pterosaur at the end of Jurassic Park 2.
Is there? You're
Because
probably right.
there's like a shot at the end where they're talking about like they've like taken the T-Rex back, the two
Mm,
T-Rexes back to the island. And there's like a shot of like it's supposed to be like all the animals, like all the dinosaurs existing on the island, like the Serengeti. And
yeah,
it's the
that's,
buck and the doe Rex with the baby Rex. I'm pretty sure like a pterosaur like lands on a tree
yeah,
and
it's
like
it's a
stretches
good
his wings out
shot.
like
Yeah, because you see the sun behind the wings, and they're a little pink and transparent. I remember ILM were just like, "Look what we fucking did! Look at this
yeah.
shit!" And it looks really good.
But then they kind of retconned it for the third one. You know what I mean? Like it's like kind of
I know the third one is just kind of like one of those situations where everybody doesn't talk about Jurassic Park anymore, you
yeah.
know? But you know what?
Yeah, it
Now that I'm
yeah.
older, like it seems pretty believable. People would just stop talking about it. They'd be like, "Yeah, there was the dinosaur thing, but now we're on to Minecraft," you know?
Yeah, well, I think too, like there's like a level of like if something's inaccessible and like seems to be solved, like it goes into the back of the mind. Like look at fucking measles. You know what I mean? Like we're like, we eradicated measles. Nobody needs to worry about that again. And then people are like, why do people get measles vaccinations? And now next thing measles are back in full force.
A lot of things are coming back in full force. It's very disturbing.
I'm only speaking for myself. I can't speak for the Slush podcast, but you know, vaccinate your kids.
Yeah, you can speak for the Slush podcast. Crazy, man. I remember even when the pandemic started, um, I found out so many people that I knew, like close to our family, were just like, "Yeah, we don't get our kids vaccinated. Like they're fine." I'm like, "Not with anything. Like you didn't get them any vaccinations yet. Like that's
Yeah.
there's some places that won't even let your kid go into certain programs unless they're vaccinated because they're in danger. They're in danger, really. So
Well, that's why I actually didn't have to get my measles vaccination. And then, like there was a thing for cadets that I had to go away for cadets one summer. It
Mhm.
was actually mumps they were worried about because there was a mumps outbreak in Halifax.
Oh
So to
shit,
go away to cadet camp, I had to get my mumps, measles, and rubella shot.
that's
And
crazy.
I sucked that. I actually like took myself to the doctor and got that.
Ah, I've it's crazy because I've never thought about not getting a vaccine in my entire life. Never came up. I just didn't ever question it. I'm like, I don't
Well,
know.
here's the thing: is like if I'm playing the other side of the argument, I understand that people have some trepidation about a rush vaccine for COVID. I got
Sure.
vaccinated. I'm going to say that. I can understand that some people might feel uncomfortable with that. But when we talk about measles, smallpox, like all those things, these are
Influenza.
time tested vaccines that have existed for decades and have led to great things happening. So I don't think it's fair for you to carry your trepidations from a new vaccine to something that has been time and tested.
True. It'll be interesting to see where if we do have any effects from such a a quickly made worldwide vaccine for COVID. I mean, I know that one of Cora's friends, she's only like in her 20s. She was like one of those super rare cases where it enlarged her heart and like messed her up with the vaccine, which is pretty crazy. But she was one of those people that had a crazy side effect, but I don't know anybody else who had a side effect except for her. Uh,
It's everything's a numbers game. Like we're all one bad sandwich away from biting the dust anyways. You
uh,
know, like Just pick and choose.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it. I remember we had to give our little vaccine card to like go anywhere. Remember, it's like you have to show that you got 2 vaccines.
Dude, I did a lot of traveling during the whole COVID thing. Not for work, not because I was like reckless. He'll remain unnamed, but I know somebody that might have drove across the United States with COVID.
Oh God.
Which shame on you. But like I was working in Toronto, I was working in Nova Scotia, I was working in friggin' Italy a whole bunch. Dude, I like the amount of documentation I had to show was like even just driving from Toronto to Nova Scotia, I had to stop at the New Brunswick border and I had to stop at the Nova Scotia border. And I had to already have my paperwork cleared for Nova Scotia to get through New Brunswick, or else they wouldn't let me into New Brunswick.
Jesus.
And then like when we get to Nova Scotia, they gave us special things to put it like not like production printed off things to put in our card that said I did the 2 week like I did all the things because people's cars were getting vandalized.
That's fucked up. Yeah, somebody had an Ecto-1 license plate in the
Yeah.
Ghostbusters thing. I couldn't believe it made the paper.
Yeah, in Bridgewater.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, how do they now know
Yeah.
what the Ecto-1 is? It's sad.
For people that don't know, in Nova Scotia, you only need a rear plate. So people put bullshit on for the front plate. And somebody had a vanity plate that said Ecto-1 New York. And somebody like left a note on their car that was like, go back to New York. Even though they had a Nova Scotia rear plate.
That's so awesome.
That's the part of the world I'm from, folks. So, shout out to, the TOB and the LSG.
Woo. Yeah, I feel like that was a weird time. It's almost like we all collectively, even though it was long and miserable and weird with COVID those couple of years, it's like they were just like the years were plucked from your memory bank because they just dragged on.
The crazy thing is like arguably like life is back to normal.
Oh yeah, I would say it's totally normal, other than politics.
But then you look at it and like coming full circle, like we had a scientific innovation where we potentially de-extincted things, and like I think the attention is fairly superficial. Like I think the average person is like, oh, that's like a pretty cute, like that's a cute dog, that's kind of neat. But like I like I think I said at the beginning of this podcast, I think a lot of people like this is a milestone in genetic technology and could be a good or bad thing. Like that's up for speculation, but it's largely like underwhelming. You know what I mean? And like we treat like COVID like it was like our nom.
I know. Yeah, it's weird, man. What a strange time. I feel like we're living a science fiction novel at this point. Like we're gonna start living Jurassic Park. I still think it's funny. My dad was like, "But why?"
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like think about like we're looking at Halo, Jurassic Park. There's got to be some other sci-fi thing to happen this week. Like
I don't know. They're picking the new NASA administrator right now. I think it's gonna be that billionaire fighter pilot guy. Pretty crazy. They potentially are cutting like NASA's budget, and he said they're still gonna go to the moon and Mars, which is insane.
Oh, well, was that the hearings? That was the other thing that was
Yeah.
like, we're totally so far off from Jurassic Park, but like, listen, at heart, Jurassic Park's a science fiction novel. We're living science fiction.
Mm.
Like, I guess to bring it back to Jurassic Park, that's the whole thing is we talk about science fiction all the time. Jurassic Park is supposed to be techno sci-fi. Where like Crichton wants you to ask, is this a good or a bad thing? Is this a thing I want? Here's some information. Make it an informed decision. Are direwolves more important than just being cute? You need to decide. Should we go to Mars? Probably yes, because that's where we need to put the dinosaurs. Was there a race there that was wiped out by atomics? Did Dune happen on Mars? Who knows?
Are you talking like John Carter kind of Dune?
I don't know. I said there was an article that came out where there's evidence that there was a race on Mars and they were wiped out.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh yeah, it's like alarmingly, evident. I don't know. I mean, there was definitely water there, but I haven't seen anything else, unfortunately. I mean, it would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only kind of atomic attack that happened there was like there might have been some bacteria wiped out by solar radiation.
Yeah, I don't think it made it any farther than like amino acids or something, or I don't know, maybe. We'll never know probably because we'll be dead before we even get there. Da-na-na. Or will we? Whoa.
By then, we'll all be living in 0G and for 200 years.
Are you talking about Wally?
No, I was thrown back to our contact episode, which you can find on is out from the Slush podcast.
The contact episode was funny. It was a good time.
I haven't actually listened to it yet, so like, no
It's good.
spoilers.
It's funny.
I did find that like I did get to that far in the book. I did find that interesting. They were just like, if you live in space, you live for a long time. Like that seems like a little bit of a cop out. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how that's possible because they, like, right now, we don't have much radiation shielding or any. So the astronauts are getting, like apparently when they close their eyes, all they see is shooting stars. Like, apparently it's really hard to sleep in space because you're getting pelted with neutrinos and cosmic
yeah.
radiation. And supernova shit is, like, literally shooting through your body. Like, that can't be good. Because space literally wants to kill us.
Yeah, man, how hard would it be to put a little extra shielding up there? You know what I mean? Like we fly stuff to space all the time. Like even if we had to fly it up there piece by piece.
I think if they start building in orbit, then they definitely will be able to. But right now we're just stuck with like whatever we can fly up with. They did talk about using human shit to act as a radiation shield. Yeah, it was crazy. There was like at one point they were going to talk about sending like a couple to Mars as the first two people to orbit and come back. And instead of ejecting their shit out into space, they would
to orbit.
You know what I'm saying?
Why are they worried about a couple? I'm just saying, what else are they doing?
You ever read about sex in space? Apparently it's never ever happened, but I mean, who's gonna know, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a funny thing. I mean, to be fair, they're sending like military people up there and stuff. Like,
Tom Cruise is going up, so
of course. In the book, the Hail Mary, the material that they find, there's this stuff called astrophage, which is like a huge part of the book, and they use it as rocket fuel. But they also realize that it like shelters them from radiation.
Yeah.
So they actually have a thin layer of astrophage through it, like they're. But like it's also kind of crazy because now you're also rocket fuel as part of your hull.
They'll do something crazy someday we don't even know about. It'll be nuts. They'll come up with a thing. They'll have a pill. Or they'll just like give you a vaccine for radiation as soon as you're born. So like you're destined to be an astronaut. It'll be weird. Or maybe people who are born on Mars, like Martians, will just have different DNA. I don't know.
Well, I think the biggest issue I think will be the gravity. Like we're way so far off Jurassic Park, but like if you ever watch The Expanse, like that's like a thing. Like that, like the Belters, who are like these people. They're humans, but they were born way out in space, like to mine asteroids. Like they're like Slender Man looking dudes, and like in the first episode, they like the military's like literally torturing a Belter, and they just have him like in shackles on a wall. But the Earth gravity's like crushing him to death.
Weird. I've never seen this show.
You should check it. It's a bunch of books too. You should check it out because like it's one of the things that they pay a lot of attention to the science of it all.
Huh. That sounds fun.
Like they have all these space battles, but like they don't really shoot lasers. Like their whole thing is like, no, like it's really easy to shoot a piece of metal really fast, and spaceships are specifically susceptible to like metal traveling really fast.
Dude, I think it's Neil Tyson did this show. It wasn't Cosmos, but it was before that for PBS. They talked about how like if you had a cylinder that was solid metal and you spun it and shot it at a certain speed, you could actually detonate a planet with it. Crazy.
Kinetic weapons.
Yeah.
It's de facto. There's no Geneva Convention against kinetic weapons.
Not yet.
Yeah, hopefully sooner than later.
The Space Force will have it.
There's like a whole thing that you can't put like space-based like nuclear, biological, or chemical weapons in space. But then like there's like a weird thing where kinetic weapons are like this weird pull.
Well, did you know they put the tardigrades on the moon?
No,
That's a
that seems
real
a
thing. They did
shade
do it.
reckless, maybe.
I forget who it was. Was it the Russians or was it the Chinese?
Was it
Japanese?
intentional or was it like a crash or something? I do seem to
No,
remember this
they
actually.
they purposely put them on. They like broke space law, and they put them on the moon, so they're there right now. Isn't that weird?
They there's a like a interdimensional beast that shows up in Star Trek Discovery, but it's just like a giant tardigrade. Like they're literally fighting a giant tardigrade at one point.
I feel like that's probably true. There's probably a giant one out there somewhere. What nothing else can really survive space that we know of except for them, right? And John. John can survive without a suit. Just a duct tape suit.
Yeah.
Ben
Is
is
Bennett waking up?
He is waking up.
Yeah.
He's doing his little dance.
All right, folks. That means we gotta call it.
You do it.
If you haven't liked or subscribed yet, friggin' do it. We're on all the places you get podcasts: Apple, YouTube, Spotify. I don't know, wherever. Spreaker, which probably doesn't exist anymore. That's Matt Lins. Bennett's off camera. I'm Cody Hatt. I'm still not Sully. Thanks for watching. Bye.